Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into this now. So we're going to set up the rest of the functionality so that it has the saved hit location, and then it compares that location to our actor's location to then get the rotation and then fire the bullet out in that direction. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our hit array, going to drag out, and go hit, get, and then we need to go get a copy. Now we're going to leave this as 0. Let's see, we're then going to compare the locations together. So we are going to get a is valid. We'll plug that in. And then from there, we will... It's the easiest way to do this. Okay, so we get the sphere, and then we go get world location. We're then going to go plus vector, and then we need to get our first person camera. We need to get world rotation, this location. And then we need to rotate the vector. And then add our gun offset to that. And we add that one to there. So this is the same functionality that we set up just here. So I guess you could copy paste this if you haven't already done that, but I didn't think about that. This is the part where it does change though. So we're now going to go find lookout rotation. This is one of the things that I mentioned earlier that took me a long time to figure out how it works. This was a rather painful thing to get working. So we now go get world location, and then we connect that to our target. So what's happening here is we're basically comparing the two different locations that we're pulling here, and then it's doing some math with this node to then get the rotation between them. And then we're going to drag out from here, drag out and go make transform, and then going to connect our rotations together. And then we're not actually going to touch this node for a while. Okay, if it's not valid, give myself a bit more space here. Oops. So if it's not valid, then we want to make our slowmo, set that, and then we set our releasing shots. Make sure they're both being set to false. We then set our global time dilation back to 1, so it's back to playing at normal speed. We also need to get our post-process, and we set enabled. So this is just basically disabling all of our slow motion effects. It's actually spelled correctly, but I just thought it was wrong. To default. Okay. So we now need to set up the functionality to actually get the rotation and then compare them still. So at the moment, this functionality will make it so the bullet will go towards the character that's had the saved data here, but it's not going to rotate the player. So we now need to drag out from here, and we go get world location. We're going to find look at rotation again, and then the target will be our first person camera. Drag out from that and go get world location again, and then plug that in. We now need to make a variable. We're going to call this variable target rotation. Going to make it a rotator. We're going to drag out our target rotation and we're going to set it. We're going to plug that into isValid. And then we're going to connect this one up here. There we go. Let's see. I'm going to move some of this down again. So to set the rotation of a character, you have to do it inside of the controller. You can't do it in here, so we have to go get player controller and then get control rotation. And then we're going to check if it's equal. And then we're going to set this number here. Let's just go with 5 for now. So how this works is it checks to see if our control's rotation is equal to the target rotation. And then the little float value here is basically like an error tolerance, as it says right there, so it can be within that variable, or that float. We now need to set up our smooth rotation function, so we're going to call this smooth rotation. And then we are going to go and drag out, we're going to get player controller, drag out from that and go set control rotation, and then connect those two. We're going to go get control rotation, and then we're going to interp 2. Our target will be our target rotation, and then our delta time will be our get world delta seconds. I'm going to set interp speed to, I don't know, let's just go with 20 for now. We can edit that later on. And connect the new rotation. So basically what this does here is it gets our player controller, and then it gets the controller rotation and sets that to our current one. And it gets our target rotation that we set inside of our event graph, and it compares the two of them together. And then it basically rotates them together every tick on, like this is the same thing as a get event tick. And then the interp speed is how fast it basically goes in between these two. Because if we didn't have this, the way it worked is it'd go, say this is an enemy that I hit, it'd shoot right here, and it would switch to the other enemy, and it would just instantly go from this one straight to this one without any like going in between. So what this does is it makes it, instead of going from this one and instantly teleporting to this one, it'll go from this one and then it will rotate in between it. And it just makes it look a lot better. So we come back into our event graph now. And then we go ahead and get our smooth rotation function we just made. Connect that there. And then we're going to make a branch. We'll leave that for now. We now need to make sure that our array, it's the easiest way to explain this. We need to make sure that that we're releasing shots. We need to make sure that after smooth rotation there's a slight delay, because with the event tick it basically shoots out the tick an insane amount of times every second. And then we need to make sure that our array has, what's it called, things inside of it. Elements, that's not the one I want. We need to go get length, or not. What have I done wrong? Oh, I'm typing get, it's just length. Oops. Yeah, I'm still fairly new to the whole arrays system. This is what made this very difficult for me, is because I haven't worked too much with arrays before, and when I have, I've been following along watching someone else, so I haven't had to mess around with them too much. So learning how to do this all on my own for once was very difficult, so I don't know how well I'll be able to explain it, but we'll see. I will explain a lot of the functionality at the end, when I'm actually done making it, so don't worry too much if you don't understand what I'm doing. This one goes into true. And then we need to get a delay 0.2, and then we can connect this into our branch. And then this one comes out. No, this is this one. That's right. Okay. So what's happening here is we're getting our hit array and we're getting our hit length, which is basically checking how many things are inside of our array, so how many elements we have saved. So another way of saying that would be how many enemies data we have saved for their hit location. And then if that is equal to 0, then we come up here, and then if it's true, we do nothing. If it's not equal to 0, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we check here that releasing shots is set to false, or set to true, sorry. If it is, we then make our smooth rotation play. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. And then we give it a 0.2 delay, because if we didn't do that, then when we shot, our event tick would end up making it so that we shoot multiple bullets at once. And then we come down here to our branch, and we make sure that our get control rotation is equal within 5 of our target rotation. Our target rotation we get from down here by comparing the locations here. So we get a fine lookout rotation that we get from our sphere, which is from our viewport. If I come all the way back in, this little sphere here inside of our gun. So it's where our bullet spawns, and then we compare it to our first person cameras. We add them two together, and then we go into a fine lookout rotation. And then we get the hit actor that we're currently shooting at, and then we get its world location, compare those two together to get the rotation. And then up here, we then again compare the hit array, we send it up here, and we get its location, and then we get our first person camera's location, compare those two, so we have the rotation degree that our character should be facing when he's shooting. We set that as our target rotation. I don't know how well I explain that. If you're lost on that, then I can try and help you in the comments if you need any help, but for now, I'm just going to leave that there. We're going to get our shoot function now. We're going to connect that to true, and then we're going to come all the way back here and connect that there. We're going to drag out, and we're going to destroy the component. We're going to come over here, go destroy component, and then connect that. Okay, so I was actually dragging out from the wrong one. It's from hit array, we then go remove and then index. And we can go ahead and drag this one all the way over here, connect that. We should also add a slight delay here before we restart it. So we're going to go ahead and add a delay. I'm going to make this a very small delay. It's going to be 0.1, but because everything is running at 0.5 of its speed, this delay will actually end up being 0.5 seconds, so half a second. And then we now need to drag out from completed, and then put this in, where is it? Oh, is valid. So this section we just added here, it adds our shoot functionality again, and it will only play when all of this here is being set to true. And then it will get our location for where the bullet should spawn and which way it should be facing. It will then shoot, and then it will destroy it. It then removes it from the index being our array that we have here. And then it has a 0.1 second delay, and then it repeats this thing, and it will keep doing that until our array runs out of things. Another thing we should do is if we come back up to here, we want to make it so that if our ammo count is 0, we'll shoot. So we're going to come out from here, and we're going to go minus, and then get our ammo, add that there. We're going to drag out from here, oops, and we're going to check if it's equal to 0. If it is, we're then going to call upon release shots. I'm just checking another version of this that I already made to make sure that everything's done properly. Okay, so one last thing we forgot to add is on our slow-mo here, we need to make it so that whenever we release the slow-mo key, in this case being shift, we then release our shots as well. So we come back in here now. I can now press shift on it. You can see it's got my little crosshair, and then shift on this guy, shift on this guy. Okay, so I know this episode kind of ended abruptly, but in the next one we'll be fixing up everything. So at the moment it's shooting backwards. We'll turn that around and we'll fix up a couple other bugs in the code, and I'll explain how everything works in case you missed anything. That's it at the end of this episode. Click the link below in the description for the final episode. See ya.